Hi, Jets families. Thank you for joining me. Today we are going to talk about ways to help build your child's confidence and self-esteem. The way we view ourselves and think about ourselves is a major component in our mental health, and many kids struggle in the area of confidence and self-esteem, especially as they get into upper elementary and approach middle school, although this is relevant for all ages. But in general, self-esteem can be a struggle, and so today I want to discuss strategies for helping to improve the self-esteem and confidence in our children. So we'll begin today with some tips about setting a culture of confidence in our family. And the great thing about these strategies is that they're relatively easy to implement into your family's daily life. So although this might be counterintuitive, giving your child opportunities to learn and try new things is a way to build their confidence. Now, again, that seems maybe against what we would consider, because when we're a beginner at something, that tends to be when our confidence is at an all-time low. But one way to help build the confidence in our children is to encourage them to learn and try new things. And there probably will be a struggle at first, but once they accomplish that goal, they will feel more capable and competent, which would make them more willing to try new things in the future. And their confidence builds because they can remember when they struggled, and then they can remember how they grew over time. Another way to help create a culture of confidence in your family is to help your child to discover their strengths. This is especially helpful for our kiddos who maybe struggle academically. They struggle at school day after day. They are put into a situation where they feel maybe like they don't measure up. They feel like they're behind their peers. They're confused. They don't understand the content. It's just every day is difficult. Every day can feel like a challenge, and that can be a real hit to a child's self-esteem. Or maybe your child struggles more socially. They feels comfortable around their peers, or they have a harder time connecting or relating to them or making friends, and that can be a real hit to self-esteem. And so we tend to focus on the things in ourselves that are negative, or we perceive as negative, and we can then often overlook or miss out on all the things that we do well, all the things that we are good at. And everyone has those things, and so recognizing what those things are can really help with self-esteem. This list is probably hard for you to see. That's very fine print. I will include a link to it in the video description below that you could print or just look at. This list has various categories of strengths, and again, some of these are things that we might overlook or not even maybe even consider as a strength. So we have categories such as character strengths, social strengths, study, language, math strengths, and also talent strengths. Talents are probably one of the things we think of most when we think of strengths. And this list isn't even exhaustive. It's just kind of some ways to get you thinking about some different things that your children might be strong at, and helping them to see that. Because again, knowing our strengths is one protector we have when it comes to our self-esteem. And just a personal story here, when I was growing up, I really struggled with athletics. I would often feel really embarrassed because I couldn't catch a ball. I couldn't hit a ball. I was a slow runner. I was clumsy. I couldn't do the flexed arm hang. I'd fall right down. All those areas I just really struggled, and I would often then compare myself to the other people who were really good in these areas, and then I'd feel kind of down on myself. Yet at the same time, I didn't get that. Siri. At the same time, I was taking piano lessons, and that was a skill that I was learning and I was growing in, and I was getting pretty good at. And even looking back now, I can see that did help me in my self-esteem, because while I struggled in one area, I also had another area that I was doing well in. I was doing good, and it helped me to feel good about myself, that there was something that I could do well. So another tip for setting a culture of confidence is to give your child age-appropriate responsibilities. This might look like chores in your house, or it could be other things, but I do have just kind of some sample chores for kids, and this is, again, probably hard to read, but this was just from a simple Google search that I did where I found this list. But Though kids can often grumble when they have to do chores, doing so gives them opportunities to experience a sense of accomplishment, a sense of contribution, a sense that they are an important and necessary member of the family. They develop some responsibility. They also, again, learn different skills for managing a home almost. They learn to keep their room clean, or they know how to unload the dishwasher, maybe how to make a grilled cheese sandwich, how to do laundry. These are things that help them to be more successful or to feel more successful as they grow up. And these are all things that we can kind of build into them and they can grow in. And so, yeah, having those age-appropriate responsibilities is another way of building your child's self-esteem. Another way to create a culture of confidence is to avoid comparison. So we talked a little bit about this in the presentation on sibling rivalry, but comparison, this can be natural, whether your child has siblings or spend a lot of time with their peers. It can be easy to stack your child up against other children to see how they measure up. And doing this, especially doing this in front of our kids, is a way to make them feel like they aren't good enough. So we want to try to keep our focus on our one specific child, appreciate them for who they are, and not just kind of try to measure them up against the other children around them. And like any skill or habit you want your child to pick up on, it's important to model this positive self-esteem. Our kids are always watching us, and when we talk about ourselves in a way that is unhelpful or unkind, when we make critical remarks about ourselves, about the way we look, about our bodies, about something that we did, we call ourselves names, all these things, our kids pick up on it. And it shows, if you do that, then they'll do that. So they kind of start to pick up on these habits too. On the flip side, when you are gentle with yourself, you offer yourself some compassion, when you have that common humanity in the sense that, yeah, we all struggle sometimes, and you turn your mistakes into learning opportunities, you use positive self-talk with yourself, again, then your child feels more empowered to do the same, and they know how to do that, and they know what that looks like because they see it by watching you. As your child learns new things, they are bound to experience struggles, make mistakes, even have some failures. And while these things might seem like confidence killers, allowing your child to work through them is a great way to build their self-esteem. It can be really easy to swoop in and try to fix any challenge that our kids are facing. And we talked again about our tendency to maybe want to do this in the presentation on anxiety. But it is important to remember that when we do this, it just sends the message to our kids that we don't think they are capable of getting through this struggle on their own or of solving their problem on their own. But instead of jumping in right away, we want to let our child know that we're there for them and we want to support them, but we also want them to work through as much of it as they can on their own. So not be so quick to try to fix things for them. It's also helpful to remind your child that mistakes and struggles are how we learn and grow. So instead of viewing setbacks as things to be avoided, we help our child to embrace and even push through the struggles that they face. And we do this by helping them to develop a growth mindset. So we are going to pull away for just a minute and talk a little bit more about what a growth mindset is. So the concept of a growth mindset has been developed by the psychologist named Carol Dweck. She actually discusses two mindsets, the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. And she does it by discussing how these mindsets show up in the areas of skills, challenges, effort, feedback, and setbacks. So let's compare a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Those with a fixed mindset see skills as something you're born with, something that is fixed. So you either have it or you don't. So I'm smart or I'm not. I'm athletic or I'm not. I'm creative or I'm not. And there's nothing I can do about it. That's just, I was born this way. Those with a growth mindset see skills as something that come from hard work. Skills are things that can always improve. So whether you kind of have something that you're naturally a little bit better at, or you really, really struggle, either way, no matter where my starting point is, I can always improve. That's what a growth mindset says. For challenges, someone with a fixed mindset might see challenges as something to be avoided, because challenges might reveal a lack of a skill, an area that I'm not as good in, and that's going to make me not feel very good about myself, so I'm just going to avoid that. They might, in the face of challenges, then give up more easily or quit. Whereas those with a growth mindset see challenges as something to be embraced. It's actually motivating. I feel like, oh, I can't do this now, but I expect that I will be able to if I continue to practice and put in the effort. Challenges that are then seen as an opportunity to grow. And so those in the face of challenges, those with the growth mindset will be more persistent. They're more likely to persevere and to not give up so quickly. As far as effort, those with a fixed mindset see effort as unnecessary because, again, I wasn't born with this talent. I'm just not smart, so what's the point? So effort, it doesn't seem like the effort is as embraced with a fixed mindset, and so they see effort maybe as something you only do if you're not good enough, whereas a growth mindset sees effort as essential. That's how I'm going to grow. That's how I'm going to get better, and effort then is their path to mastery in a certain area. Those with a fixed mindset see feedback as something to get defensive about. Again, it's something they take personally. It's a personal attack, and then it again makes them maybe not feel as good about themselves, whereas growth mindset sees feedback as useful. It's something that they can learn from. It identifies areas where they can improve because, again, their goal is to continue to get better. And then finally, fixed mindset sees when they have setbacks, they're more likely to blame others for their setbacks or to become discouraged by them, whereas those with a growth mindset will see a setback as a wake-up call to maybe work harder next time. So having a growth mindset can elevate self-esteem and confidence because it creates a belief in oneself and one's ability to learn and to grow and to improve. So this can be very motivating and inspiring because I feel like, okay, even though I can't do this right now, that means maybe someday I will be able to. And so we can change a fixed mindset phrase into a growth mindset phrase by adding a simple 3-letter word to the end of it. And that 3-letter word is yet, Y-E-T, yet. So instead of I can't do it, we'd say I can't do it yet. I don't understand fractions. I don't understand fractions yet. I can't run a mile. I can't run a mile yet. You get the idea. But maybe just because I can't do it now doesn't mean I won't be able to in the future. So that's kind of what a growth mindset says. Another way to help your child through struggles is to offer praise for their effort, not just the outcome. So when we praise only the outcome, like, you got all A's on your report card, way to go, or you won, good job. We all do this, I do this, but if we're only praising the outcome, we are sending a message that your child has only done a good enough job if they have succeeded. An example of praising effort might be, I love how hard you worked through the whole game and you didn't get discouraged when your team fell behind, or I'm really proud of you for keeping a positive attitude and encouraging your teammates. And we can also praise for effort even when they do reach their goals. So all that time studying really paid off in that grade you got, or all that practice you put into dribbling really helped you handle the ball really well in last night's game. So still praising the effort and not just the outcome. And when we do this, it kind of sends that reminder to our kids that their worth isn't tied up into whether they successfully meet their goals or not. And research has shown that praising the effort or the process involved is linked to our kids developing that growth mindset. So when we're praising the effort, the process, not just the outcome, we're helping them to develop that. And so if you are looking for ways to help your kids grow in the area of growth mindset, one great way to do it is to praise them for their effort or the process involved in whatever area they are doing and growing in. So while these strategies can be helpful in creating a culture of confidence in your home, there's also things you can do daily to help your child grow in their confidence and in their self-esteem. For example, each day we can try to share one reason why we are thankful for our child. What children think of themselves is significantly influenced by how they think their parents view them. In the absence of information, kids will often make up their own stories. So we might feel thankful for our kids for a number of reasons, but if we never tell them, then they might create a story in their head that doesn't really truly reflect how we think or feel about them. And the way we speak to our children and about our children eventually becomes their inner voice, so the way they speak to themselves. So when we can provide these constant reminders on easy days and tough days, it can help to assure your child of their value. And this is especially helpful as they get older and, as their desire to please the people around them, their peers. They care a lot more about what their peers think and say about them. And sometimes that isn't always positive and uplifting, but if they at least are getting it from us, it kind of helps to protect them and balance out maybe some of the potentially negative things they might be getting elsewhere. And then another one is to ask your child to share one thing from the day that they are proud of. Not only is it helpful for us to give our feedback to our kids, but to ask them to give themselves feedback. Thinking through their day, what is something that happened that they feel proud of? Each night ask them that question. And again, developing this practice daily helps them to be thinking more consistently about their own strengths, their abilities or efforts or things that they did that they are happy about or proud of. And then lastly, it can be helpful to begin each day with a positive affirmation. Examples of these might be, I can do hard things. I'm strong and brave. I am worthy. I matter. My feelings matter. Whatever it might be, and maybe these affirmations might come from discerning a place that your child is struggling to believe about themselves. So we're going to come up with a positive affirmation that kind of addresses that. And again, the more these affirmations are repeated, the more they become a part of their inner voice. And as we learned last month, if you watched the anxiety presentation, the way we think impacts the way we feel and impacts what we do. And so if we can be giving ourselves that inner voice that is compassionate and kind and encouraging, that's going to help us to feel better about ourselves. So being a parent is powerful. With each interaction, we have the potential to build our children up or to tear them down, and that can seem really daunting, but there are a lot of things that we can do, a lot of ideas of ways and little things we can change and conversations we can have that can really build our children up to help grow in their confidence and to help them have that more positive self-esteem. So we have, as parents, a really key role in that. And so I hope that there were some things today that give you some ideas of ways you can go forward and help your kids in these areas. So thank you so much for joining me today.